Why were people letting you run around looking like that? So it's that time of year where beauty YouTubers round up all of their makeup products for the year and tell you which ones were their absolute favorites for the year of. Now, before I get started doing those kinds of videos here on my channel for you guys and telling you the products that I couldn't absolutely put down, I wanted to revisit my 2020 makeup favorites and also my mid-year makeup favorites and just kind of retouch, remind myself what I was loving at the time, and also let you guys know if I still think that they are really good products and if they are worth the money. So hopefully that sounds interesting to you. Now, if it does, make sure you stick around and let's go ahead and do the YouTubey things. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. Let's go through 2020 makeup favorites first. I have like them all in this box here. I actually had to go back and look at the video and look in the description box and be like, what were my actual favorites from last year again? And some of them I was like, oh wow, okay. And then others were like, yeah, I get that. Anyway, it was a very interesting little journey. Now let's just get the obvious favorite out of the way. 2020 was the year that I very first tried Pat McGrath Labs. Okay, it was the year of trying my first ever Mothership palettes. And I believe, I didn't actually rewatch the video. I honestly couldn't sit there and watch through myself again, but I'm pretty certain I would have said all of the Motherships were my favorite. I think at the time specifically, Divine Rose 2 was my fave, but I think I probably just had Divine Rose 2 in my hand, to be completely honest with you. I mean, this was beautiful, but Midnight Sun was actually my favorite. But yeah, Pat McGrath Labs. Probably actually the Mothership palettes, definitely from 2020, were my favorite makeup product I tried, hands down, like hands down, and still to this day, completely honest with you, is. I love them, they're stunning, and obviously I feel like from my 10 Days of Pat McGrath series that I just did on my channel, you guys really probably know that I still highly love these, recommend these, and never want to let them go. The other eyeshadow palette that I just absolutely loved in 2020 that was in my yearly faves was actually the Colourpop Wild Nothing palette. Now this palette is actually quite beautiful. I really did use this palette a lot last year, and if I'm being completely honest with you guys, I really haven't used this palette a whole lot this year. Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, all of the other eyeshadow palettes that I've brought into my collection this year really overshadowed this one. Does that mean that the quality is like lesser? No, absolutely not. The quality of this palette is actually really beautiful. The color scheme of this palette, so pretty. I just kind of forgot about it a little bit, to be completely honest with you, and when I look at it, I get sad because I'm like, oh, I wish I should use this more. It's so pretty. I do have to admit though, I've really gone off Colourpop as a brand. I just think the level of releases that they have been producing this year is insane. I couldn't keep up. If you bought one, their shipping was so long that by the time you got it, it was completely irrelevant, which is not a big deal for an everyday consumer, but for someone who's trying to do makeup YouTube, it is a bigger deal. And then also I just felt like they were repeating a lot of the same products over and over again. I think they get an A+ for packaging, but I don't know. I don't know. Just me. I used to buy a lot of Colourpop, and then this year I was like, I don't want to buy any more Colourpop, and I really haven't. I don't even know if I've bought any Colourpop this year, actually, now that I think about it. I can't think of a product that I would have bought from Colourpop this year. So there you go. The primer that was in my 2020 yearly favorites is the Stila One Step Correct Primer. This is a very old school primer. Last year was really all about me trying a lot of like older makeup on my wish list. I really wasn't so much about the new releases as much last year as I was about going back and really trying all the makeup that I wanted to try, just period. And I really did do that. And then this year I really got into the newer makeup releases, but this was on my wish list for so long. I really like this primer. It's definitely not my favorite primer anymore. I think you guys know what my favorite primer is, but it's still a good primer. It's definitely been pipped to the post, but you know, if you're interested in it, it's a good product. My favorite foundation last year, which I found quite funny, but I think it's because my actual favorite foundation, which is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro, still to this day, still found favorite foundation, but I didn't try it last year and I had to try the makeup last year. So it was the YSL All Hours Foundation. Last year was the first time I had tried this particular product. My skin type has definitely dramatically changed this year. It's gone from a really oily, not so friendly skin type to almost normal to dry, textured. I don't know. She's changed. And then she goes from like she goes oily all of a sudden sometimes. But I've noticed that my skin needs a lot more hydration this year than last year, regardless of the fact that I'm like combo skinned. So this one isn't as much my fave, but I will say that I took this away on my anniversary weekend in like a couple of months ago, and I used it all weekend and I was like, oh, that's right, I do really like this foundation. So I still do really, really like it, and I'm happy that I have it in my collection, but I don't automatically go to reach for it because I have so many others that I think just a new and shiny maybe. Maybe if everything just like, if I didn't have any new and shiny ones to look at, I'd probably reach for it a lot more maybe. I don't know. It's definitely not my favorite in my collection anymore. The concealers that I loved and adored, Pat McGrath, Sublime Perfection, still love and adore those. You know I do. I harp on about them every time I do any form of concealer review or try a new concealer. They are the concealers that I compare them to. You know I love them. Leading on to that is the Pat McGrath Labs Sublime Perfection Under Eye Powder. You still see me use this pretty much in every single video as well. Still love it, still adore it. Have gone like, I think I've gone through 3 of them in the past year. Love them. Can't get enough. Still a holy grail. But my face powder last year, I forgot about this completely until I looked at that video, but my favorite face powder last year was the CoverGirl Pretty Fresh. I guess it's like a powder foundation. It's the CoverGirl Pressed Powder, sorry, and it comes in obviously different shades. This is the shade Fair. I've actually used the shade Light Up completely, and I gave Translucent away to my best friend, and I kept Fair just in case I wanted to use it for the under eyes. This is no longer my favorite powder. It really is not, and you guys know. And if you don't know, you probably haven't, like maybe this is the first video you're stumbling across of mine, but you know what my favorite powder is now. You know. And nothing is going to pip that powder, in my opinion, but I won't say never is never, but you know what I mean. But I actually did look back at when I filmed this video and I looked at my skin and I was like, what were you thinking? This was so patchy on my face. Like it really was. If you go back and watch that video, my powder, it looks patchy. You could actually see the patches. So I was like, I don't even know why you liked that in the first place. Why were people letting you run around looking like that? Who are your friends? No, I'm just kidding. But it didn't look so crash hot, you know what I mean? My favorite highlighter that I had in my collection was quite an old one. I used it all the year. It wasn't necessarily something that I actually tried last year. However, I just didn't try another highlighter that I liked more, but I didn't really buy a lot of highlighters last year, if I'm being honest with you. So I chose last year the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighter. This is in the color Lightning Dust and Crystal Fire. You can see how much I've used this. Obviously, it's a product that I've liked and loved, and I still do really like it. I just think that my Pat McGrath, my Laura Mercier, my Makeup by Mario highlighters, my, you know, all of the other highlighters that I've brought into my collection this year I do like a lot more, but I do really think this is a really, really good product still. And you can see, like, it's the only highlighter I've ever hit pan on. It has taken me like 3 years to hit pan though, I will say that. But it's definitely been pipped to the post this year. Now the blush that I chose last year was the Patrick Ta She's That Girl Cream and Powder Blush Duo. This has definitely been replaced this year. Is this a good product still? Yes. Definitely. I don't reach for this as much as I should, I will say that, but I think it's more just that this color isn't a color that I would wear kind of on the everyday. So I think that's the only reason why. These have actually just come out in Australia, and I will eventually pick up another color or another shade of this, but yeah, it's still a really, really good product. And I remember at the time I was like, if you are not sure that you want to try cream blushes, this is a really good way to go because you still have that powder option. And this product was designed to go over powder, because technically the way Patrick uses this is he puts the powder down and then he puts the cream down, which is awesome. And that's to bring the glow back to the skin. I don't use it that way because I don't want that much glow on my skin. I use it the opposite way. But the thing that I love most about this formula is that it is designed to go over powder. So if you've been around here again, you know how I feel about that. But yeah, this is a great product. I just wouldn't say it's my favorite still. The bronzer that was my favorite last year was the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer. This is a really good product still. You can tell that I love this product because I have definitely hit pan and I still love it. Is it my favorite this year? No, it's not. It has been pipped to the post, but in saying that, this is still an amazing product. So if you were thinking about picking it up, you definitely wouldn't regret it, but it's got a rubbish shade range and I'd really love to see that change. Now, I did love the Nars Smudge Proof Eye Primer last year and I still love the Nars Smudge Proof Eye Primer. I don't ever see myself not owning this product. I really don't. It is so good. It is so good. I also talked about the Tower 28 lip jellies last year. I have gone through 2 or 3 of them already. I already have another 2. I want every color if I can possibly get my hands on them. I love these. Stand by them. Still my all-time favorite lip gloss. Hands down. My favorite lip combo last year as well was Fenty Beauty in Mauve Wives in the cream formula, and then the Oh Snap lip liner. Still love these. I really like, I wouldn't say that the Colourpop lip liner formula is my fave. I definitely, whether you like it or not, I actually do like the higher end, like Charlotte Tilbury, the Makeup Forever formula, that kind of a thing, the Lisa Eldridge. I like their formula better, but I really like the shade of Oh Snap. I would love this in like, you know, Charlotte Tilbury or something like that. But this is still, this is such a great formula. This more so was the color as well. I love this color. I know it looks very purple, but on the lips it almost looks like a soft nudie pink. It's gorgeous. I love this. It's still amazing. Still amazing. A couple of other products that were in my faves last year that I actually don't own anymore was the Kosas Big Clean Mascara. I still love that mascara. It's still one of my all-time favorites, if not my favorite. I just have so many in my collection right now that when I used it up, I didn't repurchase it. I will absolutely repurchase it though, but I just don't own it right now because I did use it. And the other one was like the Fenty Beauty Black Flyliner Pencil. I actually don't like that anymore. I have the Charlotte Tilbury black liner and like the Pat McGrath, and honestly they are such better quality ones in my opinion. That really has pipped the Fenty Beauty one to the post. But yeah, so I wouldn't actually recommend or repurchase that again. So that's it for my 2020 faves. So still like all of the products pretty much, except for like 1 or 2 of them. But I definitely think that I don't know if I've necessarily found products that I think are way better, but just more so that I prefer now, would you say? Now let's move on to my mid-year 2021 faves. Hopefully this video is not too long. I'll try and speed it up a little. So the first product that I mentioned in my mid-year 2021 faves is the Zoeva Authentik Skin Foundation. So this was a foundation I did actually purchase towards the end of 2020, but didn't really start using and getting into until this year. And this is still a lovely, lovely foundation. I still really like it. This bottle, even though you kind of can't tell because it's like covered all on the sides, it is actually nearly empty. I use this quite a lot. I haven't used it as much in the second half of this year, but more so because I have brought in so many new foundations that I've been reviewing and testing that it has kind of been pushed to the back, but I still really like this foundation, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more dewy and hydrating on the skin. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. The concealer that I spoke about in my mid-year faves was the Kosas Revealer Concealer. This is a nice product. You hear so many people talk about this concealer, and for good reason. It's really a beautiful product. It's more so a concealer for the everyday, or okay, I should caveat this. If you don't have really difficult under eyes like I do, because I have pigmentation, darkness, texture, you name it, it really takes a lot to cover my under eyes. But if you just kind of have like the normal under eye, or even just a slight little bit of darkness, you'll find this concealer to be like suitable for you for literally every occasion. The beautiful thing about this concealer is the finish on the under eyes. It's very hydrating and creamy, but it doesn't crease. It's still long wearing, and it is like a solid medium coverage. So I still really like this, but we'll have to see what my faves are at the end of the year, because I actually haven't picked my end of year all-time faves yet. So we'll see. My favorite blushes in my mid-year faves were obviously the Pat McGrath blushes, and with good freaking reason. These are amazing, and I had at the time Flirtatious and Desert Orchid. You guys, if you've been here around here before, you've seen them used a lot. I love this formula so much that I actually went and also purchased Electric Bloom, and to be honest, I'm probably just slowly but surely over the next year going to add more colors to my collection as well. I really like this blush formula. In my mid-year faves, I did do like an honorable mention to the Makeup by Mario products. So his Softsculpt collection, his blushes, his cream blushes, all that kind of thing. And well, how much do I still love these products? Well, I love these products so much that I have dramatically added to them. I say dramatically, I've added like 2 products. The rest were already here, but I have added to them. I love these products, you guys. I think these are so underrated. Truly, I do. I know the packaging doesn't like draw you in, especially if you're someone like me who does, you know, if you're someone that loves like the luxury packaging and that kind of experience, I get why you probably haven't been drawn to these products. But my God, I don't know what it is, but the Makeup by Mario products that I personally have tried are so good. They are so good, especially for an everyday makeup wearer. They're beginner friendly, they're beautiful quality, high quality, easy to use products. I still freaking really recommend that you go and pick up those products. To be honest with you, I would be running and not walking. I actually genuinely want to pick up like every single one of his products from these because they're just so consistently exceptional. Okay, so we just have eyeshadow palettes left that I talked about in my mid-year faves, and yeah, I actually didn't mention Pat McGrath in my mid-year faves, but I think that you guys know that I'm probably said in the video that they are my all-time favorite, knowing me. I didn't watch the video again, I just looked at the description box, but I know that I would have said that because they are my favorite eyeshadow palettes. But I did mention the Kaleidos Cross Angie Nyquist Club Nebula palette. I do still love this palette. I think it's like the only colorful palette you could ever need, but like it is discontinued, which is really sad, but it's still such a beautiful quality. I also talked about the Tiny Marvels palette from our beautiful Mel Thompson, and I still stand by this. I used this recently in a video called Makeup I'm Thankful For this year, and this is still part of that. Sydney Race has one of the best formulas I have ever tried, period. It is so good, especially their metallic formula. But this palette especially, it's the color scheme. Like, it's such a, I know that it has 2 pops of color in it, but if you take them out, it's such a neutral everyday palette, but it's not a neutral palette that you have all of the tones for. They're all slightly unique. It's great quality. It has the pops of color if you want to use them. It's so good. I know that they're doing a pre-order on this, and if you haven't got it and you just even slightly want it, I promise you if you pick it up, you would not regret it, and you probably will regret not picking it up more so, because it's so good, and it's a little piece of Mel that we can all have in our homes, which is so special. I also talked about the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette, which again, I still stand by. This is an amazing palette. I'm not sure if I used this in a video recently, but I know that I have worn looks where I've used this palette in like talking videos. I'm just not sure if I've done a tutorial recently, but I use this a lot in my everyday life. I love this palette. And then last but certainly not least, I obviously talked about Natasha Denona Glam. I mean, you know that I still like love and adore this, right? I do. This is like one of my favorite palettes in my whole collection. It's my go-to palette, really. Like when I need something that I can just count on, I just love this. Your look is always going to turn out amazing no matter what you do when you wear this palette. The mattes are exceptional, the metallics are exceptional, the actual color story of this palette, you just cannot actually get anything better, I don't think. I love it. I truly do. That is a recap of my 2020 and mid-year faves. I actually haven't really watched anyone else's videos of these yet because I really have not had time to watch YouTube or anything. I've been uploading and filming, etc. So I'm not sure if this is how this format is supposed to go. But anyway, we've revisited the faves so that when we do my end of year faves, we know where we're at. And I probably will actually pick completely different products in my end of year fave. So I'll refer back to this video in it probably. And yeah, I think we're good, right? Let me know your thoughts. Are any of these products your faves? You still loving? Did you pick any of these up based on my recommendation if you love them? Or maybe you hate them? I mean, we're all different. Chances are that might happen every now and then. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. You know, I love hearing from you. Thank you so much if you do. Comment down below. I really appreciate it. If you're watching till this point, you're an absolute legend. You know you are. Please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time.